What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Paper Planes channel. I'm your host Sean, and this is my Dark Souls 2 Ultimate Walkthrough. We're located at Majula at the bonfire here, and if you followed my last episode, then you can see there's a little bit of a soul discrepancy between the previous episode and this one, and that's just because I started this episode thinking I wanted to do one thing and then realizing that I'm not actually equipped to do that just yet. So what I'm talking about is we're going to be covering the Dark Chasm in this video, and in order to do that properly I need to be a member of the Dark Pilgrim Covenant, and to do that I need to go back to Drangleic Castle. So if you're already a member of the Covenant, you don't really have to follow this part of the episode, but stay tuned throughout and you'll figure out where you can pick it up. But for those of you who aren't members of the Covenant, this is what we're going to do. We are going to travel to Drangleic Castle, and we're going to have to go to the King's Gate. Now normally the bonfire that we'd want to visit is right here where it's got these 3 question marks, but we can't get to it from there because we haven't visited it yet. So we're going to go to the King's Gate, and this whole episode is going to be quite interesting. There's lots of little pieces to it. But if you've been following the guide up until now, then this is exactly what you'll be needing to do with me. Okay, so we've got a couple little options here, and what we're going to do is go into this room, and you guys will remember this area is a place that you should be familiar with. Now, I'm going to try to actually sprint over there and run into the room with the floor that collapses. So let's see what happens. Let's see if the enemies will actually follow me into there. Alright, here he comes. They're following me. Let's see, I don't think they can fit through that little corridor. For good reason, because they'd probably destroy the NPC in here. So yeah, we can get through this zone and get to the Dark Giver without having to mess with those guys. Of course, you can kill them if you want, just by simply targeting them. See, he's probably going to hold his shield up the whole time. Quite a nuisance. So let's see if he's the only one in here. Looks like he is. So let's go ahead and get into the bonfire room. See if we can rest. Yeah, awesome. So he's just far enough away that we can rest and reset him. And now we have access to this bonfire. So this is exactly what we wanted. You'll see here that we have the Dark Giver sitting in his chair. And this is the final place of 3 that we're going to meet him. And this is gives us an opportunity to join the Covenant. So if you're in another Covenant right now, you're going to want to abandon it and join the Pilgrim of the Dark. Now keep in mind, what this episode covers is completely optional, but if you want to fight one of the last hidden bosses, this is what you're going to have to do. So we get the Abyss Seal, and you can see the Covenant symbol has changed. And the cool thing is once you enter the Covenant, the chasm actually opens up like that. So you don't need to enter it here, and this is actually not where I want us to begin. So what I'm going to do is head over to this bonfire here, and we're going to go back to the Black Gulch. Everybody's favorite shithole, the Black Gulch. And we're going to go to the Black Gulch mouth. Now basically we have to go back and go to all 3 of the areas, and I'm just going to all 3 of the areas in the order in which they would be revealed to us originally. So this is going to be a little bit helpful in you guys to backtrack and find those locations if you actually haven't followed the guide to a T and you need to know how to get to all these original locations so you can do this properly. So we're at the bonfire, we head out the door here, and we've got a couple statues to kill. Remember, these guys spit poison, so you gotta be careful. Whoa, shit. You gotta be careful when you're swinging your sword too. You don't just want to fall off the ledge like a jackass. Alright, we'll kill these guys on the left. It'd be great if these statues stayed destroyed forever. It's a real big pain in the ass to just walk through here. Okay, so there are some statues there, but you can see the eyes aren't facing the way that we want to go. And if you look below, there's an outcropping of land beneath our feet. So we're just going to walk off. We'll fall right where we need to. And then we're going to run up this little hill here. Deal with these. Oops. And the great thing about that shortcut is it bypasses those tar pits with those dangerous monsters inside them. So what we'll do here is drop down and kill these statues below us. If we can. Alright, so once you kill those ones directly next to you, we're going to kill that guy and now deal with this worm. You don't want to be in front of the hole when it's jumping out. So they're really easy to deal with if you're standing in the right place. I'm going to kill this one. Awesome. So once you kill the second one, you can see here, we've got this opening. We can drop down. You can see the land below us. If your brightness settings aren't up to par, or you just have a difficulty seeing below, you can strike a lantern or a torch with your, basically your flame butterfly. So you can see the guy is here now. Now, he'll be here if this is your first visit here, or if you had already come through this zone. And like basically what happened to me at the beginning of this episode is this is where I actually came first before I realized that I wasn't actually a member of the Covenant. But since I had already interacted with him here, he wasn't at this location anymore because I was A, not in the Covenant, and B, he was in a third location waiting for me to interact with him there. So it basically can't be in both locations at once, but when you're in the Covenant, he's going to be at whichever altar you're located at. So now that he is here, we can interact with him. And basically what we're going to do is give him a human effigy. And each time we give him a human effigy at whatever location we're at, it's going to open up the dark chasm. Oops. Okay, so once you're done with that, you go ahead and leave. And what you want to do is you want to be at full health when you enter in these areas. And I will also suggest, as you see, when I'm doing the videos, I'm playing in offline mode. But if you're going into an area like this, you can be invaded by as many as 3 enemies at a time. So if you want the easiest path, you don't want to be playing in online mode during this part. So once you're ready, you're going to go ahead and enter the chasm. And this is just the first of 3 locations that we have to do. So we're going to make sure that we keep on our Estus flask. As you can see, I look like a dark spirit, and I'll be fighting other similar dark spirits. They're NPCs, and they're a little bit more tricky than you're usually used to. So if you're trying to light up the area, maybe holding a torch, you don't want to walk in the water, because that's going to make it extinguish your flame. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here and start firing away at this guy. And I miss like a bitch. But what you want to do is hit him as quickly as possible. And it's great if he rolls backwards. Now when this guy comes up, you want to back off. You want to stay out of his range. Once you get the kill, you want to heal up. And now we're going to be able to deal with that guy on our own time. So basically I want him to pursue, and then we'll be able to attack, and we can keep interrupting him with physical attacks. So if you can keep him cornered on a wall, he's not going to be able to do those rolls. You're going to be more effective in damaging him. There we go. Awesome. Okay. So now we've got this forest spirit waiting for us. And they're really slow, but they have some really powerful sorceries. You can see it down there. So what I suggest is always dealing with it with other sorceries. Sweet. Okay. And we're going to continue to navigate through this area. And we're going to approach a fork in the road here. And what you want to do is go to the left. And you'll see there is a giant area here, but there's a hole in front of you. So that's what I'm saying. It's kind of dark, but you still should be able to see well enough. If you can't, then be sure to strike a torch. But you got to do the torch here anyways, because you need to set light to this bowl here. Bonfire, whatever this thing is called. Brazier, probably. But anyways, after you do that, get off of your torch. Go back to your healing wares. And we're going to progress forward. I know sometimes when I make these videos, I say something and my brain thinks it was the correct thing to say, and then later on when I'm watching it or editing, I'm like, what the hell? What the funk did I just say? So you can see there's an enemy down there, and it's actually the same guy we just fought, dude with two big hammers. So you want to be ready for him. So we can go ahead and switch to our binoculars, and he's much easier to deal with than he was the first time. Even though it wasn't a real problem, we don't have that fire casting crazy pyromancer chasing us down like we did. He's such a fat roll. I love it. Alright, so now we see the pyromancer and he's standing down there. But we have a distinct advantage because we have the high ground. So this is pretty awesome. You want to take care of the tree spirit first. Damn it. Alright, so the guy's up here. So we're going to deal with him the way we know how. Want to keep him busy. It's alright if we knock him down. Sometimes they'll try to heal. Alright, so once they're dead, you want to get out of the kill zone for that tree spirit, or forest spirit, whatever it's called. And there we go. So 6 enemies in total. You basically kill the same 3 guys twice. Once you do that, this area back here will actually be accessible to you. And I know it's confusing. You probably, in almost 99.9% of circumstances, would never want to willingly fall into a hole in Dark Souls. But this time I'm going to ask you to do it. So you just drop down, and it's going to take you through this loading screen. And you'll be back at the entrance to the chasm in which you entered. So that was successful. Once you're done with that, you're going to communicate, and it says your devotion to your covenant has deepened and you have gained a rank. So we're going to be rewarded for that. After you listen to some conversation, you're going to get the resonant soul. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and leave. And now what we're going to do is use our aged feather. So we need to get access to a bonfire. And we've got to do some more backtracking. So we'll tap the fire. And we're going to travel. And let's see here. We're going to have to go to the Shaded Wood, I believe. And we're going to go to the Shaded Ruins bonfire. Alright, so when you're here, there's really no sweet, easy way to get there. You can try to jump through there, but it doesn't actually allow you to get to where you want to go, unfortunately. I tried that the first time, and I was like, sweet! And then I looked up and realized that I couldn't actually get on top of the little ledge that I really wanted to. So it would have been great if that shortcut was actually purposeful. So you're going to run over here, and if that opening hasn't been destroyed yet, then you just stand on it and it'll break. And once you're in here, you can see that the Dark Giver is here, and we're going to go ahead and give him a human effigy. Say yes. And of course you'll see the Dark Chasm behind me will open up. Leave. And now we're going to walk over here and touch the chasm. Touch my chasm. Alright, so now that we're inside, we're going to go ahead and move forward. I'm going to switch to my more powerful sorceries. Now, you'll notice that there are some holes here. So you want to be careful about your surroundings when you're in these places. There's lots of death traps, and they kind of get progressively more difficult. And that's kind of why I'm showing you the areas in which I'm showing you, so you can see that there's probably a better way to go about it, and you kind of want to build yourself up in the difficulty level of this zone. Okay, so we're going to see here there's a huge drop off, so you want to stay to the left, and then as you enter here, you're going to notice the enemies. So we've got a guy, you see the guy with the red aura? He is basically a dexterity dagger type character, and the one behind him is an archer. So what we want to do is try to get this guy out by himself, and then the archer will start firing at us, but we want to backpedal and get out of here. So no matter how close the archer is, he's going to chase us out. So what I want to do is run up here and get some distance and get back to your shield so that the archer can't do any damage to you. Now of course he's going to hit you if you're casting, so you want to watch out for that. Alright, so now the archer is effectively pointless while we have our shield up. So just wait for him to fire once and then heal. Now we can deal with him really easily. You can go down there and start doing melee fighting, but as long as he's on a straight path with you, you're going to be just fine. You do enough damage and enough casting speed to stagger him. That's really why we wear this armor that we wear. It gives us the ability to cast fast enough to do things like that. Alright, now there's going to be another enemy in here, and it's one of those spirits. You can see it all the way down there. So you can just approach it. Watch out for that hole. You don't want to get too close because it's got a shockwave. So you can see that's what it was trying to do. It's trying to jack me up. So what I want to do is just binocular it. See, and that's why you don't want to fight these enemies in the middle altogether, because caster, basically they set it up to where the enemies complement each other. So the caster's going to knock you down, the archer's constantly hitting you, while the dexterity dagger guy is just tearing you to shreds up close. So they all complement each other really well, and it makes it extremely difficult to fight them. So use your flame butterfly, and you're going to set the light. Awesome. Go ahead and heal some. Now we've got one more enemy to face, and it's going to be that dexterity type guy with the daggers, and he's going to be down below just off the elevator. Shouldn't be a problem for us at all. So get on the lift, and it's going to bring us down. So once they're there, you can see the guy already, and you can also see that there's a drop here, so he can't actually get to us as easily as he'd want to. And this is a perfect opportunity for a casting type character. Even if you had, you know, consumables that you wanted to throw, you can just see how easy that was. Awesome. So we can walk down. And there's the mist again that we're going to fall into. Sweet. So that's 2 of the 3 zones that we've completed with relative ease. We're going to use our aged feather again. And once we get back to the bonfire, we're going to use that to travel back to the Drangleic Castle, back to that bonfire that I ignited towards the beginning of the episode. So you see Drangleic Castle, and now we have Under Castle Drangleic, whereas before we didn't have access to that. So now you see how we've come full circle. Now this is the best bonfire because there's actually no enemies that we have to deal with. We just run straight out and go ahead and talk to this dude. Now the Chasm is open for me because, as you saw when I originally spoke to him and joined the Covenant, he opened up the Chasm for me because it was my first visit to the 3rd location. So it saves me a humanity by not having to give him one to enter this. So that's pretty sweet. Alright, so we're going to go back to our healing wares and enter in the Chasm. Okay, so once you get in here, take a look around. There's water, but it's also very deceptive because they're drop to your death caves and caverns and whatever you want to call this shit. I don't know. Basically, you just want to be sure that you're following the path. So once you get to this little fork here, you're going to turn left. Keep your eyes focused on the floor below you and ahead of you, if you can. It's hard, I know. I hate walking through water because you'll never be able to see what's directly in front of you. You can only look at your feet, make sure you're not falling, but then at the same time you're leaving yourself kind of vulnerable. But thankfully there's no enemies that approach you in that area. What will happen though is you'll come through here and you're going to see some enemies. Now, you're going to notice there's a guy right to your left, and he's basically a big giant hovel. Now, the thing about this dude is he's going to use a shield to defend himself from your sorceries, so you need to be ready for that. So we'll try to do as much damage as we can. You can stagger him with your sorceries. He'll heal himself too. Alright, so that was a really clean, easy way to kill him. It doesn't always work out so smoothly, so be ready if he gets by your castings to retreat. You do not want to fight him right here. He can so easily knock you off, and his damage is massive. So just be prepared for that. Now, what's going to happen is you're going to see this spirit over here, but there's also an enemy right around that corner. You can see him. You can see the outline of the enemy just there. So you want to get this enemy focused on you first. So once he sees you, then we're going to retreat. And then you can focus down the passageway and get them while they're coming at you. Shit. Shit balls. Do not want to deal with this guy. He is really tough. Yep. I totally fucked up by using my binoculars in an inopportune time. That's okay. That can just show you how difficult that enemy is. Your shield really does nothing. They've got a very powerful attack to do that. So that's okay. Not a big deal. Now you get to see the struggle. So we're going to use one of our humanities. And make sure to give him that. I hate the delay it takes sometimes. It should not take that long. Alright, so I'm going to use the humanity. There's no real need to do that. I just like to, for whatever reason. It's just one of my OCD things, I guess. Alright, so as you can see, everything is as it was before. Thankfully, you do not lose progress, as in those two braziers are still lit from the areas that we visit before. So once you retrieve your souls, if you were unfortunate like I was, I'm going to do the same thing. Hopefully we can get a nice smooth kill like we did before. Nice. Even easier than the first time. Alright, so let's see how this works this time. I see you. Now the problem is that he's going to chase after us immediately once we start casting towards this guy. So we can double cast and then get the hell out of here. He didn't do it that time. Okay, awesome. So if you're slick enough to get the kill off of that spirit, then you'll be able to focus on this guy all by himself. You can see he's moving. So he was interested in us, but I guess we killed the enemy fast enough that he became basically unaggroed. This is great. He's got his back turned towards us. So we're going to get in quite a lot of damage before he even starts after us. Awesome. Now that's the last enemy that we have to deal with, but before we do, what I want to do is enter in this area, and we're going to go to light this brazier. Now be careful. As you can see, there's lots of slim footing areas here. There we go. Light the flame butterfly. And we're good. So that's the third torch or third brazier that we've lit, and now we can progress. And if you go over here, we're going to get that item that we got off of the dead body. Now these guys drop bonfire ascetics, any type of these enemies that you kill, so you can farm them if you want. And this guy should be relatively simple for us. They've got a lot of ground to cover if they want to get to us. Now once you hit them right there, it's really easy to knock them off. There you go. It's great if you can hit them on that bend right there, because they lose their footing and then they're pretty much screwed. Now the reason, for obvious reasons, you don't want to fight them on this passageway, but even in here, you've got to deal with this hole in the middle of the floor. They also have to deal with it, so you can circle it and use your casting while you're moving around if you want. Excuse me. But I like to take the easier route, as you can see. So this is where the fog gate was, and this is where your drop, but this time you're going to have a boss fight waiting for you instead of going outside the chasm. This isn't tied to this location. It's only here because it's the third brazier that we've lit. So you can do it in any order. They don't need to be done in a specific order. I just did it that way because I feel like one's easier than the next, which is easier than the last. So it's like you do it that way, so you only have to deal with the difficult one last, and it just makes more sense to me that way. Okay, so basically what I want to do is use some of my consumables to give myself all my spell castings. So I'm going to use one of these, and I'll use another one of those. So we see we've got all of our spell castings back. Now, the great thing about this is the enemy that we're going to face is fairly weak to magic. They are a caster themselves, and they're one of the more difficult boss fights. But hopefully we can manage it well enough. What I'm going to suggest to you is swapping out your shield with something that gives you better all-around magical resistant properties. So the magic shield is one that's good in my opinion. The boss that we're going to fight deals all kind of magic damage except for lightning damage, so equipping this shield will help us. They don't really deal any physical damage, so having like heavy armor or having a really powerful great shield that resists 100 physical damage is basically pointless in this boss fight, so keep that in mind. I'm not going to change my physical armor because, or my basically cloth armor, because it helps me cast faster, and casting fast in this boss fight is essential. So yes, there could probably be some items out there that give me better magic resistance properties, but I'm not going to focus on that. So I want to get the Ring of Blades off, and basically want to equip a Spell Quartz ring, so that's going to improve my magic defense. And then there's probably a magic defense item. Nope, I don't have any, but basically if you had a small blur why is this so hard? A small blue burr. If you got one of those, that'll also improve your magic resist. So you can use the fire resist as well, because they will cast certain spells that do fire damage. So it won't be a bad idea to use that also. So let's just go ahead and use that. I'm going to use one of my Estus flasks just to get to full health. And we'll stay on that, and we're ready to roll. Let's do it. Alright, so immediately I want to target, try to get off a couple spells. I like when they fly in the air because they cast this beam, and it's really easy to navigate around and get in some nice damage. You can see we do a lot of damage with this character. Now this spell right here, you're going to see one orb, but you'll also see a second one. And it basically teleports that black ball towards you. Then they do that blade attack, which basically simulates... Alright, here's the disappearing act. You just kind of circle around until you find them. There's a soul spear effectively. So this is great. It's great that they flew up in the air right now, because we can get in... Ah, shit. We were going to get in some decent damage before they split. But now there's two of them, and you just basically want to get as much damage as you can on any of the enemies. Get away from that. While that guy's in the air, it's going to enable you to cast. Whoa, shit. Sweet. That was bad. That was super bad. Oh my god. This is kind of annoying, but we're about to get the kill. There we go. So you can see that the fight isn't as difficult for the way that we've designed our character, and that's really the whole idea behind this playthrough or this walkthrough, is to give a newer player, someone who, like a lot of people that watch my videos, they're like, man, you're good or whatever, and I know that they're watching my videos because they need some help or some advice. So yeah, I probably am better than most people watching this video, but it doesn't mean that I'm a better gamer. I'm really not. I'm just a regular player who has the tactics and know-how to do this, so I try to share it with you guys. So this character build is so generic, it's so mediocre in every way, but I build it so you're effective in so many different things that when you're fighting a boss that's weak in one way, or you can use range to your advantage and never really put yourself in danger, then we're going to go that route. And I try to use weapons and armor that's really easy to obtain, not very powerful, so If you can defeat enemies with this stuff, then just think about what you can do with a more specialized build, with better weapons, and so on. So I think the guide's gone pretty well. We're very close to being finished. So this was pretty much the last optional boss, and we are maybe I'd say we're probably 2, no more than 3 episodes away from being done with this guide. So that's pretty exciting for me. So we're gonna use the aged feather and return back to the bonfire which we came from. So what I want to do is go visit my boy. Sees the devotion to your covenant has deepened and you've gained a rank. Part of that is from lighting all 3 braziers, and another reason for that is by defeating the boss that we just did. So we're going to keep interacting with this guy until he gives us all the gear that we want. So we get the Great Resonant Soul. Now we get the Dragon Chime. Now he's going to just start repeating himself. So we're going to leave. And then we want to re-engage. You can see the devotion has increased again. And now we get the Xanthos armor set, and we get the climax hex, I believe. So that's all you get from doing this whole line here. We've reached our basically our plateau in ranking up with this covenant. So that's pretty awesome. We accomplished all of this in this really short episode. Alright everybody, so that's it for the Dark Chasm. I hope you learned something today. If you did, feel free to click the thumbs up button, share this video with your friends, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and for sure leave a comment in the section below. I love communicating with you guys. Also, follow me on my social media accounts listed directly below this video. I'll see you guys later. Peace.